Welcome to the Economic Times Trailblazers, a special episode showcasing the trailblazers that have stood out and provided a blueprint for success even amidst the ongoing pandemic. First up is the keynote address by Sunita Reddy, Managing Director, Apollo Hospitals, who shared her views on how disruption is redefining leadership.
I'd like to start with a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. He spoke about one of the world's greatest leaders, who was Abraham Lincoln. And he said if there was not a great war, you wouldn't have had a great general. If there was not a great occasion, you don't get a great statesman. So if Lincoln had lived in the time of peace, no one would have known his name. I think the pandemic has brought out the best in all of us. It's taught us how to deal with challenges, and it's taught us to prepare for the future, which is ever evolving. At Apollo, we faced a twin challenge. It was a challenge which, a crisis, it was something that challenged our very core, which is, the medical work that we do. Also being an economic crisis, Apollo Hospitals had, being a listed entity, we were very concerned about the impact. Let me move on to what are the attributes of a good leader. So what I learned from this is, one is to keep listening, because as you know, things are changing every day, and it's a very dynamic situation. The second most important thing is the ability to delegate. There's in an organization that has 700 hospitals and about 200 500 pharmacies. It's almost impossible to get into every detail that's happening. So I think it's the ability to delegate, to have good people as part of your team is really critical to leadership. Now you think about the experience you have, but at the end of the day, you have to give hope to your teams and to the people around you. And that's what I wish. I wish you continue to stay in an environment of hope, because we know that this too shall pass. So let me wish you hope, success. Thank you.
Next up, an exciting fireside chat with two very special guests as they share their insights on lessons from emerging economies, how women entrepreneurs are driving growth.
Farizad, do you like to be referred to as a woman entrepreneur or just an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur, right? So whilst I do feel a great sense of pride being a woman entrepreneur, I don't like the woman tag that comes. So I'm very proud of being an entrepreneur.
And Devita?
Well, I agree with Farizad that we're all very proud to be women, and there's no taking away from being women entrepreneurs. So as long as there's no stereotyping for what my management style will be based on my gender, I'm okay, whatever you want to call me.
Do you think there are unique traits that make it possible for women to be more adept at leading businesses, leading enterprises?
So essentially, what has happened is the world of business has drastically changed. I mean, we've gotten to where we are today with a very competitive approach of business. The whole mindset was just getting market share, beating competitors, being first. But the lockdown and the situation we are in today has taught us that, leadership does not necessarily have to be all about fighting. It also has to be about creating. And I think this requirement for a more creative form of leadership, a more compassionate form of leadership, a culture that's more about values and sustainability and inclusion. I think women definitely tend to think beyond themselves when they're leaders. And I really see women entrepreneurs flourishing during the lockdown. So why not? I think there are traits that we all bring in. Absolutely. And it's more than we needing the business world. I think the business world needs us.
Farizad, what's your perspective?
There's a lot more compassion. There's a lot more instinctively very intuitive. And I think we follow our intuitions. During the pandemic, I was at work every single day. And what I brought to the table, besides kind of leading from the front and the obvious things of being a leader, I think there was a lot of compassion and a lot of gratitude I showed every single team member who showed up to work, right? So whether it was thanking our drivers, our helpers, the guys at the farm who were working day and night to meet that huge surge in demand, if it was kind of trying to hold people together when they were in the office and dealing with their fears. Everyone had issues. I mean, I was personally speaking to, some of my core team members' parents, to allow them to come into work, spouses to allow them. I think that aspect came in because of me being a woman and me kind of having a perspective with understanding, how situations, would be at home.
On that note, Devita, I wanted to ask you, what are the challenges, right?
One of the biggest challenges that I've had was because I grew the business organically, so I didn't have to raise money.
Sure.
I own 100% of this business at this point. But one of the biggest perceptions is always that, we're a niche player. People always tend to underestimate you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There you can, there's all kinds of terminology that, women in business get called. And either you can let it weigh you down, or you can, just be unapologetic about it, or you can use it to your advantage. There are challenges, but business is basically about turning challenges into opportunity.
Absolutely.
So even if as a woman entrepreneur you face challenges, put on your entrepreneur hat and use that as an opportunity. And we all have, tools that someone else doesn't. So as soon as we find and identify that, we will use it against you.
But I'll bring Pariza then at this point.
So I totally agree with every single word that Devita has said. But in terms of hurdles that we faced, so Janabin as well is a completely, we're 100% family owned, we're debt free. But we've kind of seen a lot of poultry is, a lot of highs and a lot of lows because it's livestock. When you start, so in a way, I started from adversity. Yes, we have the legacy of the father's brand, but we were in a horrible state. So when you start from adversity and you kind of start from ground zero in a way, nothing post that can kind of really, pull you down. So,
I get that.
I think I faced challenges all through of having no money, of having, everything was, ma'am, you're thinking too small, or ma'am, we need to kind of do this or do that. And I was quite, a kind of conservative player. But I was very, very clear that I was going to grow the business into something that was sustainable, and not that would collapse with the next kind of hit that poultry would take. Okay. So as a woman, I played safe, but I played smart. And I've grown this business on a very, very solid foundation.
Thank you so much, Devita. Thank you so much, Pariza. I've so enjoyed this.
Welcome back. Next up, in an exclusive interactive discussion, a panel of experts talked about how technology will assist in rescuing all sectors of the economy.
Technology is something which has made us do what we are doing in a more efficient manner, in a more effective manner, and sometimes not doing it because technology is doing it. With that, let me just start my opening with Dr. Rajeev Gautam. What do you think are some of these fascinating aspects of technology which you think we've been able to brought in to rescue during this pandemic?
Technology is not only here now, but it has been since Industrial Revolution. If you see the 4 Industrial Revolution, it started with Industrial Revolution 1, which was water and steam powering mechanized production. Second Industrial Revolution was electric power to create mass production. Third was electronics and IR to automate production. And fourth is artificial intelligence. So everything has been done throughout the life is the technology. Now we have learned this new words in the technology in the COVID pandemics and everything, especially for the healthcare. I belong to the healthcare industry, so I will talk about it that healthcare has reached to our doorsteps, and it's not like that you wanted to go to the hospitals and everything has coming to us. This technology, which is basically is the meeting us requirements at the doorsteps. I think it is that different technologies has come to us. I don't want to name all the things, but it has changed differently perspective of the technology in the healthcare sector as far as this pandemic is concerned.
Jayesh, your perspective.
See, I come from the ad tech space, and there's a lot which has changed over the last 10, 15 years in this space. Technology has helped us start working from home. Technology has started helping us track our health much better. Technology has helped us engaging, or rather, let's say, coping with the boredom around. So entertainment has become a key aspect, and the kind of usage of apps that has proliferated in the last the 3-4 months of the pandemic, you will see there is a huge uptake of certain types of apps in terms of gaming, in terms of OTT to an extent, in terms of self-help apps and do it yourself. And even when you look at education as a sector, that has also made huge progress, because the online education bit has made huge progress because of the advent of technology. Could we have imagined this that 16 years back is the question that I have. So the way technology has evolved has actually helped deal with the situation much better.
Let me turn to Amit.
Technology has really changed, and if I see my example, it's really gone from, I would still say, very primitive technology when I started my first job, where just safety and a light is the most important thing that you have, to today's world where we talk about technology as primarily information technology. So it's kind of, if you think of all the technologies that we had, which was either mechanical, electrical in nature, have now moved towards information. So they were all, I would say, execution based technology, right? Every mechanical device did a little bit of job, right? So we have seen technology, I would say, evolve in two directions. One, I would say, is all the mechanical, electrical technology move towards information. But surprisingly and very well is the information also moved towards the execution side of it. So no longer is, in a true sense, you say that technology in a physical sense and technology in a data sense today been very different.
So Sree, over to you. What are some of these things which you're saying where technology is coming to rescue?
What we are going through is a very interesting scenario, especially for a company like us who's into digital transformation, right? And all along, we've been selling digital transformation, and it's always been difficult to convince customers to make a leap of faith in making an investment in digitally transforming an existing process to cut down on their costs or improve their revenues and so on. But now the scenario has changed upside down, where the customers are that we are dealing with, we are in the B2B space or enterprise space. The customers are forced to transform themselves, given that there is no choice left to them. It's a great time overall, I feel, for building products and innovation, especially in the technology area that we are in.
Amit, what do you think are some of these dark side of technology which you don't like about?
Technology has definitely made things simpler, but there's still the human touch, the personal touch, sitting in a meeting, sharing thoughts, also listening, not just listening, I would say seeing that person and then being able to figure out whether he's getting it, or maybe you have to change something. So as somebody who's essentially working in an industry where a personal connect has to be very important to be able to, it's not like a tangible thing that you're selling, that hey, this is a physical thing, it exists in the same format for everybody and anyway, whether you get through A channel, B channel, C channel. It is very unique experience to a particular person or an industry or a company that you're essentially delivering. I think that part is still technology has not been able to do.
Rajeev, what do you think are some of those not so likable part of technology?
I think what Amit says is very rightly, is only all the technology and it depends on the verbal communication. So we have to say, you have to hear, but there is a silent language. There is a relationship building between the human touch, which was there. Warmth of the palm was not there. I think that certain message is also not to be told and not to be listened. It has to be taken just by a click of eye or something like this, or relationship or building, because the organizations are built by the people who work for people and the relationship. We are totally dependent on what is being said and what being heard. that so many lessons may not be learned just by the voice.
So the personal touch is something which definitely cannot be taken away. And how, at least in the near future that I can fathom, I don't really see a technology which can really replace the human emotion, right? While technology is trying to replace the video and the audio, that physical space and connect is something which definitely is missing. The second piece which I wanted to touch upon, so anything in too much is also bad, right? Information, while the free flow of information has helped us bridge a lot of these gaps which have come about, the biggest challenge that is being faced by us is also misinformation. So the same channel can be used for information, the right information as well as the wrong information, and technology is just an enabler there. And while technology is not directly responsible, it is in a way responsible for the misinformation.
Let me turn to Sree. Your thoughts on the not so great part of technology?
First of all, I don't think technology is good or bad. I think humans are either good or bad, depending on how they use technology. I feel that it's about how you control technology rather than you let technology control you. The other point that I do want to make is like during COVID times, employee engagement has been a very difficult thing for us.
Let me now just turn to Dr. Gautam. What's your sort of message to all of us?
I will simply say, which I learned, that avoid technology diarrhea.
That's a very good one. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I come to the end of this wonderful talk.
The number one thing is customer-centric innovation. So as a successful entrepreneur, it's really important for us to continuously think on behalf of the customer, be in the shoes of the customer, understand what the customer really needs. To me, that's number one. And number two, to be in this play for the long haul, to be in continuous perseverance and not to think of giving up anytime soon. And a lot of really smart people, multiple times smarter than me, I've seen giving up and moving on. So I would say number two is to stick in there until you see success. And number three, I would say that it's important for any entrepreneur to form a powerful team that can deliver the innovation that we're pitching to the customers, and that team should have the ability to deliver, and also should have the room to deliver. Meaning, as a leader, it's important to create enough room for those people who work within the team to ensure that they can self-actualize. So I would say these are very important attributes of a successful entrepreneur.
Up next, two senior business leaders share their views on the 5 key to-dos to survive the ongoing crisis.
In the past few months, both of you in your own businesses in food and in financial services would have seen a host of changes. What has this process been like, and what is it that you have learned in the past few months?
So BharatPe essentially helps small merchants accept payments from the customers, and we would collect roughly 40-45 crores a day for these merchants. COVID has made people adopt UPI a lot more and digital payments a lot more. They feel safer with it because it is a more contactless way of paying. So actually our business is booming, and COVID has sort of given it a new tailwind.
Akshay, how about you?
So it was a mixed bag, and there is a significant HORIBA business that practically came to a standstill overnight for 4 months. There has been a very, very quick change in the way in which the business future of the company is evolving. It has evolved very quickly from a HORIBA dominated business to almost like a 50-50 retail food service business, and it required the company and the field force to be highly flexible, to adapt to the environment. So on the whole, I think it's an interesting time. The business has had to be reset, and a lot of actions have been taken, but otherwise the business would not have survived. So actually it was a question of survival, and we stood up to the challenge, and I think we've done well.
My belief is that in times of crisis, trust really matters.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Ashneer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in financial services, where you are dealing with people's money, trust is everything. And you have to consistently perform and perform at a success rate where the success gets reinforced each and every day. And once that happens, you have created a brand.
Akshay,
Trust has to percolate down to all actions of a company. It has to percolate to your suppliers. It has to percolate to your customers. And I think at a time like this, the trust of the suppliers is even more important because
right.
he's not getting paid and he's having to supply. And he doesn't know whether he'll get paid. But I think in today's environment, the most important is the trust of the customer and its relationship with the brand. And that enables that buying decision. And I can tell you, Namrata, that the customer has changed forever all across the world and more so in India.
What have been your top 5 learnings?
See, the top 5 learning, the first one is leadership is perennial. The second thing is in the crisis, do less as against doing more. So you need to have that fundamental faith that all crises get over and you need to actually do less in the crisis as against trying to do a lot more things. And that has been our funda as well. The third is keep a very close eye on your cash, your economics and your profits. Fourth, don't go and start socializing losses. So don't do across the board salary cuts and all those. It's again an opportunity for you to really evaluate who is adding value to your business and who is being a dead weight. And the fifth is believe in the cycle, right? Every crisis will lead to the beginning of the next cycle. At the right point of time, you have to change gear. So, come out of that mode of despair and correction and everything to actually becoming really aggressive when you see the green shoots. So those are my 5 things.
Akshay, what are the top 5 learnings that you have from this?
I think the first thing for us was to be social. So when we were facing a challenge that the factories or there's going to be zero cash flow for a few months, what was in my mind was that everybody in my company should be looked after. Well, we had to do cuts. We had to reduce the cost in a very way. We had to make sure that there is no desperation. That even when we are laying off someone, it's being done with with a kid club and with love and affection. The other thing that came out very quickly was that we have to train almost all our customers and our supply chains, and we made manuals for training shopkeepers on how they have to safeguard their staff and customers because they're a very high risk environment. And the same action has been repeated with the HORIBA customers. Business like mine needed to reset itself to a point and where it's going to grow and dominate in a bigger and better way in the market. So we're going to see business of the stronger players actually get far bigger out of this crisis, and stronger companies, trustworthy companies are going to do much, much better moving forward.
Thank you so much, both of you, Akshay and Ashneer. It's been a fascinating learning from me.
Now, having taken this context, the mobile first consumption pattern, firstly, the key thing that I would keep in mind is how crisp and how effective your communication is. The number 2 is that a mobile as a handset is a medium which is very close to the person, and that creates the opportunity to interact. So the idea is basically to create as much engagement as possible. So engaging creatives is very important. The third one, of course, is content, and content not in just the context of creating content which is more aligned to the brand, but it's also content which can resonate with the consumer. So influencer marketing becomes a key in this. But again, when I stress on influencer marketing, I stress on the micro and macro influencers, not the large celebrity influencers. Last, of course, the path to purchase is a very important thing. The mobile also offers you an opportunity to take a consumer down the path to purchase to actually making the purchase. Unlike in the case of any other traditional medium, this is a much more engaging one. So these 4 areas is what I would suggest for a marketer to focus on in this current context. That's about everything that can make a successful marketing campaign.
We ensure that we have worked as partners with our customers. As a company, we've always been one of the most mechanized, so our dependence has always been very high on the automation. But I think in these changing times, with the social distancing and with the pandemic having no sign of receding, I think we are being much more automated than what we've been in the past. And we embrace technology for that. The new things which are coming up are more robotic. They are more with freeing the human intervention. So for the times to come, maybe for another year, maybe more than that, we will have to keep adapting to ensure that we, the brands that we represent, the corporate entities that we are from, they are at the top of the technological age, they are at the top of the happenings, and they ensure that our customers are always given the best service possible at all times, pandemic or no pandemic. And I only wish to say that partnering success together has been our motto and has served us well.